Welcome to Vegan Ultra. I'm your inspiration guide, Adam Gals, on this epic quest for health, hope, and happiness, in which I lose 150 pounds in 12 months on a whole food vegan diet while walking 3,000 miles to prove to myself, my family, and everyone watching on YouTube we can all be the ultra versions of ourselves if we give it a chance and are powered by plants. This is part 2 of the dangers of dairy. Now, yesterday we saw how dairy milk is unnecessary because plant-based milk is in fact superior in terms of nutrition. Today, we're going to be talking about the reasons that you should consider ditching dairy for health reasons, specifically the dangers that dairy milk poses to your health. So first, let me walk you through this incredible science-based journey. So first, you can see here, whole milk, which is recommended by such people as Dr. Jason Fung, is about 33% pure saturated fat. This, of course, raises LDL cholesterol, which has been proven causative to heart disease and increased mortality. But you might be thinking, okay, but I drink skim milk, which has very little saturated fat. For example, while whole milk, 3 glasses a day, which the USDA, which is tasked with increasing dairy consumption, recommends for Americans. If you drink those 3 glasses, you exceed the American Heart Association's recommendations for daily saturated fat intake. But you could drink 130 glasses of skim milk. Aha, you think? I can drink all the skim milk I want. But there is a problem, and that is that drinking any kind of milk, cow milk specifically, increases insulin-like growth factor 1. So what is IGF-1? Well, it is a protein that is similar to insulin, which promotes cancer growth. In fact, IGF-1 has been shown to promote all 4 stages of cancer growth. And here we have a meta-analysis that found that on average, a statistically significant increase in blood IGF-1 levels. So how statistically significant was this finding? Well, according to Dr. Greger, the p-value was 1 × 10⁻27. For context, that means that the chances that milk does not increase IGF-1 and that this meta-analysis just accidentally came across this association is the same as winning the Powerball 3 times in a row and then getting killed because you were struck by lightning. Okay, you're thinking, well, okay, maybe skim milk will increase IGF-1, but does that actually lead to increased cancer risk? That's a very good question. That's a holistic way of thinking, and that's the way nutrition should be approached. So we have a meta-analysis looking at the UK Biobank study, 400,000 people, and they found that increased amounts of IGF-1 it resulted in 18% increased risk of thyroid cancer, 8% increased risk of colorectal cancer, 11% increased risk of breast cancer, 8% increased risk of prostate cancer, but interestingly enough, slightly reduced risk of ovarian and liver cancer. So, okay, but what does that actually mean in terms of milk? Because milk, after all, is a food. It has lots of chemicals. Maybe some of them are protective. Well, here we have a meta-analysis looking at 34 prospective cohort studies, meaning that they looked at people going forward, not just past results, actually looking forward on 3.2 million people. And guess what they found? Increased cow consumption, increased cancer mortality risk by 10% in women, high fat, whole fat milk especially increased it by 17%. Meanwhile, specific cancer mortality, 13% increased risk of dying of liver cancer, 32% of ovarian cancer, prostate cancer up 23%, females with high consumption of fermented milk actually 15% lower, which is interesting, but actually consistent with what we've found in the Abkhazia. This is a group in the Caucasus, one of the unofficial blue zones, 10% of calories from fermented milk, because fermented foods tend to actually be healthier. But other than fermented milk, overall dairy milk, like the kind you find at the grocery store, increased risk of cancer death. But I bet you're wondering, okay, but I have no history of cancer maybe in my family. I'm not worried about cancer, and I love milk. So how dangerous is milk actually? Well, actually quite dangerous. Here's a meta-analysis specifically from Harvard covering 100,000 people that looked at how much of a decrease in mortality risk from cutting out just 3% of calories from various kinds of animal proteins. For dairy, the answer is a 14% decreased risk. Okay, now you might be thinking, well, I don't really care about myself. I just love milk and I want to drink it, even if it kills me. All right, but how about your children? Because here's a study showing that increased milk consumption leads to increased declines in fertility rates. In fact, high to low increase intake of milk basically results in 5 times faster decreasing infertility. And speaking of children, by the way, guess what? Milk consumption increases the risk of type 1 diabetes in children. So specifically here we have a meta-analysis that was looking at the consumption of 2 to 3 servings glasses per day compared to less than 2 to 3 servings. So remember, 2 to 3 is the USDA's official recommendation because 6 out of 11 people on the advisory panel are sponsored by the American Dairy Association. Well, guess what? That increases the risk for all children by 81%. And there is a subset of children that has a certain genetic predisposition for which dairy consumption increases the risk of type 1 diabetes by 12-fold. How much is that? Well, for context, the risk of lung cancer from smoking is just 10-fold increasing. And of course, let's also not forget that humans were never meant to drink cow's milk. Only baby cows were. That's why it's packed with hormones that grow a calf to 600 pounds in a matter of months. It's also why, according to the NIH, 68% of humanity is lactose intolerant, including as much as 100% of some Asians, and 35%, only 35% of humans in general can have lactose and digest it. That is why the Canadians have now changed their dietary guidelines. They've removed dairy as a food group, and you can see they recommend drinking water as your drink of choice, protein foods including plenty of beans, whole grains, and fruits and vegetables should be half of your plate. But I'm sure you're thinking, but my God, children need milk for the calcium. They need those strong bones. Well, guess what? Not only is calcium not necessary from dairy, take a look at this. We have pea milk, more calcium than cow's milk. The same with almond milk. In fact, even oat and rice milk have more, and soy milk has similar quantities. And remember, soy and pea milk have just as much protein as cow's milk. But let's not forget that the king of calcium is collard greens. The same amount of calories as in 1 cup of skim milk has twice the calcium, and compared to whole milk, 4 times the calcium. Now you might be thinking, oh, okay, maybe raw collard greens, you're just cherry picking. Well, here's frozen kale, 33% more calcium. Oh, and by the way, also the same amount of protein, but with 6 grams of fiber. Yes, kale, the nutrition champion in terms of density per calorie. So there you have it, just some of the reasons why you should consider ditching dairy. It is not necessary for human health. In fact, it is a detriment to human health that raises your risk of cancer, chronic disease, and even death. And if you thought that was shocking, tomorrow I will bring you even more shocking but important reasons to ditch dairy in favor of either plant-based milk or just no need for milk at all. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to this channel, like this video to help other people find it on YouTube, and consider trying a Believe's Own Vegan Diet. It's helped me lose 90 pounds in 22 weeks, on the way to 150 pounds in 12 months while becoming the healthiest, happiest version of myself. This is science-based magic and nutrition-fueled sorcery that can help almost anyone become the Captain America version of themselves if they give it a chance and are powered by plants.